Mike Pompeo gave Tehran two choices: make major changes or face the sting of sanctions. So what does this mean for Iran and the Iranian people? Farhad Alavi is a trade lawyer with expertise on U.S. sanctions against Iran. Farhad, welcome to our program. First of all, it seems like this was supposed to be a plan B to JCPOA. It really wasn't a plan B. It was 12 set of rather ambitious demands. Sure. How realistic is it that Iran is going to comply with any of it? And because it was so ambitious, does the United States even want any kind of deal with Iran?
That's the big question. The Obama administration tried to open up the dialogue with Iran beyond the nuclear file, and the Iranians obviously sought not to do that. Even then, it was less ambitious to talk about Hezbollah or talk about the peace process. This goes even one step further. The question is, is the administration really bent on finding a solution, or is this a precursor to some tidal shift in relations, meaning, for example, a move towards regime change or anything like that? It's very unclear. He did extend an olive branch. How likely the Iranian government is to follow through with this, I'm not so sure.
You mentioned a funny word there, an olive branch, and let me tell you what he said exactly, which I'm sure you were listening to. He said, at the end of the day, the Iranian people will get to make their choice about their leadership. If they make the decision quickly, that will be wonderful. If they choose not to do so, we will stay hard at this time until we achieve the outcomes that I set forward today. And then he went on to say, is this what you want your country to be known for? Pompeo asked, referring to Iranian support for militant groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. The United States believes you deserve better. So his message to the Iranian people, you deserve better, but we're going to impose tough financial sanctions, which they will have to pay the price for.
Right, of course.
Mixed messages there.
Yes, very much so. And it's not really clear whether, given the situation in Iran, the political situation, whether that's a choice that the Iranian people can even make themselves. So it appears a little bit half-hearted. Again, I think they're trying to follow this North Korean model that they've been pursuing.
Maximum pressure.
Yes, with this thought of perhaps restored relations. But the question also is, does Iran even want normalized relations with the United States? Does it want normalized trade ties? It seems that was almost offered under the Obama administration, and it was not taken up on. Maybe now with the pressures internally in Iran, with the currency crisis, with the riots that are still continuing, maybe they're in a different position. It's not clear yet.
Can this agreement survive between Iran and the European nations if the U.S. does not impose tough punishment on European countries that want to do business with Iran?
That's the entire purpose behind the U.S. withdrawal from the JCPOA, is to basically be able to reimpose these sanctions, which effectively give companies in other countries the choice of doing business with Iran versus doing business with the United States. What that effectively leads to is business between Iran versus business with the rest of the world. And I think to the extent that the European Union has tried to implement some kind of blocking legislation, it still remains unclear as to whether or not that will be viable, how many waivers or exemptions will be given by the United States. And ultimately, the decision will be made by the private sectors in European and Asian countries, whether they want to be susceptible to those risks or not. Therefore, I think in order to lay off from that threat of sanctions would be to defang or impair what the United States is actually trying to go for by withdrawing from this.
How is the speech, Pompeo's speech, being received in European capitals and also in Tehran among the people?
I would say in Europe, there's probably some dashed hope of some normalization of ties. This will make things very difficult, but I don't think it's terribly surprising given the tack that this president has taken. With respect to Iran, I think sentiment is torn. On one hand, there's probably much frustration that the sanctions will be reimposed. But then again, the JCPOA didn't really have the effect it was supposed to have in Iran.
For ordinary Iranians.
Yes, because of the fact that it was not arguably well negotiated. The longevity was questionable from the beginning. And also, Iran didn't take the necessary reforms to be able to open itself to investment that would have perhaps given it more longevity. Because of all this, I don't think this has been felt, and I don't think that people feel that this is a tremendous loss. It will certainly make things more difficult, but the loss could have been much more amplified had certain other things happened beforehand.
I think one thing it had done, maybe it had given Iranians hope.
Sure.
And that seems to be gone at the moment. Farhad Alavi, thank you so much.